Have you ever got home from a long day of work? Maybe you just want to chill, kick back, watch a movie, watch some satellite, maybe even play the PlayStation, whatever, and you turn on the TV and all you get is the blue screen of death. No signal, somebody messed with the stuff, and you're like, why can't I get my picture to work? So if you're electronically impaired, unlike me, of course, because I'm going to show you a few simple tips that you can look for on your TV on the back, and then also flipping on the remote to make sure that you can get the much needed relaxation and watching TV after a long day. If you want to watch TV, you're going to want to look for the coax cable. Coax is the most common audio and video combined cable, and it's used a lot for the rabbit ears if your TV actually has those, but most of the time it's used for the cable. So if you have Baja or Skyview or whatever, and it just goes into right here. It's pretty easy. You just slide it up and then spin it on like so. Some TVs, they're making them, this is the most lowest quality connector nowadays, and so most people don't even use this anymore, but if you are a poor college student, coax might be your only options. You can also look for the famous red, white, and yellow. You've probably seen these, chances are, on a PlayStation, on your DVD player, but you may not know what they do. So I'm going to tell you right now, simple explanation. Yellow is always going to be video. Anytime when it comes to the behind your TV, yellow is pretty much always video. Red is going to always be the right channel of audio, and then white is going to be the left. Red, right, white, left. That's a good way to remember it, in case you wanted a way to remember it. You look for the corresponding yellow tab that's underneath on your TV, and again, your TV may vary from this one, but for the most part, they all have diagrams that look just like the cords. It's important to look for the input 1, 2, 3, 4, because when you go to the remote, which we're going to go to a little bit later on, to switch between the inputs, that's going to make a whole lot more sense to you. So when you're plugging the stuff in, note what input you're going to be putting it in. On this TV specifically, there's only one input, and so we don't have to worry about that. But on most common TV and older TVs, there's going to be input 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it can go, there's a variety of different connections, so make note of that. On this one, the audio connections are on the right of the TV. So these are actually a different cable, but it's the same concept. You end up plugging these in. So these all go as a set. So you have your video and your audio, which gives you the whole combined picture, and then just note which input you're using it on. For DVD players and satellite is the HDMI cable. It's the highest quality. I had somebody come up to me and say, why isn't my TV why does it look like the ones that are in the stores? Well, because your TV was plugged in probably with the red, yellow, and white cables that we just showed, and those are only the second, I guess, best cable qualities that's out there. This is top notch right here. So this is an HDMI. They're also very expensive cables, so don't be like wrapping things up and swinging from the roof and your ceiling from these, because they're very expensive. Now, these are the easiest though to do, because since it's all digital, the TV's chances are going to recognize this, and your TV may not even have these, but if it's a little bit newer, it might. And you just, really simple, plug it in, and that's it. That's your audio, that's your video, that's like the new age coax like we did in the very beginning, and you don't have to twist anything. That's why it's my favorite kind of cable, and of course it's going to give you the surround sound when you're using it with a DVD player and a satellite, so it's definitely going to be the choice. Some TVs now have monitor inputs you can use, but now we're going to do a little close-up on the remote and show you kind of what different buttons do on the remote and how you can switch, because you may have everything connected correctly on the back of your TV, but if you're not on the right input of the channel, it doesn't matter how it's connected. So let's look at the remote really fast. So if all the connections on the back of the TV make sense to you, well then this part is going to be a piece of cake. So with the remote, usually some buttons to look for are the input button, the HDMI button, if equipped, and then also the TV, SAT, DVD. You see those buttons. They're usually at the top of the remote. So this is the key with the input button.
Most TVs, even if they are newer, back to up to 20 years old even, will have an input button that's going to change between your satellite, your DVD player, if you have a gaming system, etc., which you can use the yellow, white, red cables that we just talked about, and also the coax cables sometimes go through there, but not the HDMI. Usually the HDMI cable goes along with the HDMI button on there. Now, if you have multiple HDMI inputs on your TV, then that's going to be the way to switch between most of them. Some TVs do allow you to switch between the HDMIs using the input button, but why bother if all of your stuff is connected through the HDMI? Get what I'm saying? Anyway, the third thing to pay attention to is, and it causes a lot of problems, is the TV, satellite, DVD button. If you're using a universal remote and it's not turning on the TV when you push the power button, chances are it's in a mode that it's trying to control one of your other devices. So if you're trying to turn on the TV, get in the habit of pushing the TV button. If you're trying to maneuver through your satellite guide, then hit this SAT button on your remote. Not all of them have these buttons, but for the most part, and nowadays, they're becoming more and more common with remotes being universal when they come out of the box for your home theater systems.
So now you know how to plug in the right stuff to the TV and then how to switch between the inputs so that hopefully when you get home next time, you can just go right to hitting the input button or a quick check. It'll literally take like 20 seconds to make sure everything's connected, and then you can relax and have a great time. If you have any more questions, you can always visit your local electronics store and they can give you further explanation on the TV that you have. See you next time.